So I wanted to film a little bit of the socialization / neutrality training session that I did with Marcel and add a little bit of voiceover so I can give you a little bit of extra information. This is probably the most boring kind of training you can do, but it's really beneficial for dogs like Marcel who have a hard time just hanging out and doing nothing. They get bored easily. So before starting this video, I'd already done a few scatters like you just saw me do, where I just scattered some food on the ground and let him find it. Sometimes that helps dogs calm down in a situation like this, and eventually they end up sitting and then laying down. So right here, for example, I didn't actually ask him to sit. I just invited him to hang out next to me. And I was actually really happy that he sat down, which is why I pet him. And I think in a minute he is going to lay down on his own, which is what we want. So I actually mark that moment with a yes and give him a reward for it. Now the problem with rewarding him with food like this, you already kind of saw him jitter right there when I said yes. He gets excited. He's excited for the reward that's about to come. And I think this next rep, I'm going to say yes, and he's actually going to pop up from his laying down position. It's all right. This isn't like a huge deal or anything, but because I want him to just learn to be okay with hanging out like this is beautiful. This is exactly what we want. He looks at us, he looks at the things going on, and it's not a big deal. He doesn't start demand barking at us or, getting up and going other places. We kind of just want him to be able to chill. There we go. He popped up because he just gets so excited. And I don't make a big deal out of it, but I do make a mental note that maybe the food is not the right thing to use in this situation for him. It's just a little too exciting. Now, if that's very temporary and he has an easy time coming back down and laying down again, then that's not a big deal. But I had a feeling that he would just keep swinging back and forth between laying down and then getting excited for the food. So I'm pretty sure I switched to mostly just some affection, like petting him and praising him with my voice when he does calm down. And actually, I'm pretty sure I end up almost not saying anything to him eventually, not because I don't want him to know that he's doing a good job, but because I actually want to help him out and not amp him up in any way and help him stay in that relaxed place. Like here, he laid down on his own. And I could, yes, and reward this because I like this behavior. But at the same time, that almost makes him fail by getting him excited and popping back up again. So this is what you would do if you were doing neutrality training like this. It's, like I said, it's probably the most boring kind of training you can do because it's just doing nothing and being okay with it. That doesn't mean just ignoring him completely. I mean, we are still at the patio together, but it is doing nothing. That's why he got up here. He got bored and he said, all right, let me go find something else to do. And that's kind of something that we want him to learn to not have to do all the time. And what's important about this, about setting him up for success in this, is I went on a really long hike with him before. He's definitely had exercise. So it's not like we're first thing in the morning when he's got all his energy and now we're asking him to do nothing. We are being fair about this. But that doesn't mean it's easy for him, especially in the beginning. And he's a puppy, so lots of things to consider. But also doesn't mean that he's not capable. He's totally capable of it. And the younger he learns this skill, the easier it'll be throughout his life. So you can see I've got him on the leash, of course, and I'm stopping him from moving away from the table, and eventually he realizes what his options are. I might still reward him with treats here and there. He found it really difficult to stay in his laying down position when I'd reach into my treat pouch and then come back out. So what I ended up doing was actually breaking up a few pieces and leaving it on the table for easy access. Something that you can also do at home is make sure to only reward him if he is maintaining the position that you want to reward him for. So that would look like asking him for a sit and then saying yes, and then making sure that his booty stays on the floor as you give him the treat, not him popping up into a standing position to receive his treat. This is also what I would do if I needed him to be calm at home while I'm working on the computer or something like that. I would maybe have a dog bed next to me so he has a more visual cue for this is a place you can be at. But I would have him on the leash like this and stop him from going around and finding something else to do. And lots of dogs eventually calm down. If this was at home, I would probably put a chew bone down just so he's not completely bored doing nothing. But I also think that dogs do need to learn to at least do a little bit of nothing every now and then. You don't always have to be doing something. So here I actually started trying to communicate with him a little more that what I wanted was for him to stay laying down, not sitting up. So he went to lay down. I said yes. He popped right back up and I said nope, and then he didn't get a treat. So here's me trying a different approach, showing him how to lay down. And then even the way that I said yes, instead of saying yes and being excited about it, I said yes. The way I pronounced it was a little calmer to try and encourage him to stay in that position instead of popping up with excitement like he did before. And it did kind of work. And as you can see, where I'm rewarding him here is also important. He is still in his down position instead of up higher. I'm just dropping the food between his front paws. And then here he had to fish it out of this crack in the concrete, so he got up. But that's kind of what I'm trying to explain here, is that the reward position is important because our dogs start to anticipate where that reward is coming from. And if we want them to learn that the position has value, we need to reward them in that spot instead of standing or sitting up. We want him to learn that laying down also has value, so the reward has to be in that position. And the other thing I want to make clear is that I am using something that you would call a variable reinforcement schedule, or a random reinforcement schedule. He gets rewards sometimes, and the pace or like the rhythm that I drop the treats at is not always the same. Sometimes it's a minute, sometimes it's 3 minutes, sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's only 30 seconds. So you want to keep that kind of random so he doesn't start noticing patterns in his reward and learning certain amounts of time are the requirement for the reward. It's random.